Welcome to the corridor. I'm Ricardo Cobos, broker in charge at 8th Day Realty Group. I've been selling and investing in real estate in this region for over a decade.
And I'm Johan Alvarez. I'm a loan originator and branch manager at Neighborhood Loans. I help buyers in the Carolinas and beyond get financed to get them into homes.
Every year, the National Association of Realtors publishes a report on the hottest housing markets in the country. Raleigh made the top 10 again for 2026. But here's what the report doesn't say, and what I'm seeing on the ground every single week. I drove 36,000 miles in the past 12 months, and most of it was between Raleigh and Fayetteville. And these two markets, they're converging fast. A few numbers to put into perspective. Raleigh has the number one millennial buyer share of any top market in the country. It's 37.7%. And when rates touched below 6% for the first time in years, 27,000 renters in the Raleigh Cary MSA alone became newly qualified buyers. That's not a prediction. That happened. Income growth is up 6.3% year over year. Listings to income alignment improved by 9%, and affordability, it's getting better, not worse. And then there's Fayetteville. More than half of all home purchases in this market close with a VA loan. That's because Fort Bragg is one of the largest military installations in the world. These buyers are real, they're qualified, and most content creators in this space, they aren't talking to them at all.
Ricardo, what you're describing, that's a buyer's window. And a lot of people are waiting for perfect, but perfect doesn't exist. It already passed. We literally just saw rates go below 6% for the first time in years. That happened. The window is open right now. When I'm talking to buyers in the triangle, the conversation is always about affordability. How much can your income support? And what does your monthly look like? That math has improved with the rates coming down. And in Fayetteville, the conversation is almost always VA first. If you've served, if you have an entitlement, a lot of military buyers don't fully understand what that means for them, but that's zero down, no PMI, competitive interest rates. It's one of the most powerful tools in home buying, and a lot of people sleep on it.
Yeah, for sure. Johan, you know, what's the one thing that you wish buyers understood better before they called you?
Ricardo, I wish that buyers would understand their personal budget better before they called me or you, because a lot of people don't do personal budgeting, and it's fundamental. It's very important because when they see a home that they like, it's usually way above their uh, price range, that they can qualify for. And when we start looking at numbers, they start to realize that their expectations aren't the same as reality.
Yeah, I see that a lot. I see that a lot on the front end of the transaction, when we actually start trying to turn keys in doors, as they say in the business, where, people come to me with a budget in mind because maybe they've already spoken to their loan officer. And then they come to me with their needs, wants, and desires, and they just don't align well. Johan,
Yeah.
what if someone, say like me, one of the 97% of Americans who didn't serve in the armed forces, what if we don't have a VA entitlement? What other zero down options might exist for buyers shopping in this corridor?
Yeah, well, specifically for this quarter, Ricardo, there's a program that's almost always overlooked, and that's the USDA program. So a lot of the areas that we're talking about here are eligible for USDA, and for those families that earn less than 120,000, if it's a family of four, so just imagine that 120,000, they'll qualify for a USDA loan, and it's a bigger family. Let's say a family between five and eight, they have to earn less than 158,000 and they'll be eligible for a USDA loan. So similar to VA, no down payment, very low PMI, and it'll get them into a home with little money.
So you said USDA, and I just want to clarify this for the people that are watching this video that maybe scratching their head right now. This is the same federal agency, the United States Department of Agriculture, that certifies my beef when I go shopping, right?
That's right. That's right. Yeah. So there's a rural housing division there, and they allow us to originate loans with their programs, and well, the USDA also has a division that does them directly if you walk into the USDA office.
Yeah, I heard that's kind of a nightmare though. So just to get
Yeah.
just to be clear, this isn't a low income program where you have to have below the HUD median income like by 80%. So a lot of those programs that I'm familiar with say will help you, but you got to be at least no more than 80% of say the HUD median income. This is an economic development opportunity that's within reach of a lot of these real buyers. In Wake County, for example, what's the median income requirement or the maximum income requirement, say, for a family of four?
So 120,000. So
Wow.
we're talking about USDA. So for a family of four, it's 120,000. So if you earn less than that, you can qualify for a USDA loan. And if you have an extended family, a little bit larger, it goes up to 160 and then 180. So
Golly,
yeah,
did
I
you
mean
say
this.
180? It goes up to 180?
Yeah, and then there are adjustments that are higher than that, depending on the
Wow.
family size. But yeah,
So it's
typical
family,
family is
so it's household.
120, 158,000.
So it's household, it's really household driven. So depending on the size of your household. So that could be perfect for families with extended families, maybe multi-generational families that are looking to develop a single household. That's really cool.
Yeah,
I didn't know
especially
that.
if you don't want to spend all your money in down payment and closing cost. It's a great gateway to home ownership.
Wow. Well, here's something I want to walk people through because I don't think it gets enough attention. And this kind of ties into the USDA conversation because what we didn't mention there is it is definitely geographically limited as well. It's a rural development, so it's not going to be eligible for say homes in Nightdale or in Raleigh or even parts of Fuquay. But there are parts of Fuquay that are eligible. For example, a lot of people watching this video may not realize that Wake County is the largest county in the state, both geographically and population wise. You can drive for an hour at 70 miles an hour, traffic permitting, of course, and still not leave the county. It's that big. It represents about 17% of the state's landmass, and it encompasses 16%. I mean, I'm sorry, 16 different municipalities. Think Apex, think Cary, think Holly Springs, Fuquay Varina, Garner, Raleigh, of course, being the biggest, but it also incorporates the largest population as well. About 1.4 million people call Wake County home. But when you get to the outer edges of the county, it is still fairly undeveloped, especially when you hit the southern parts. And that's what USDA really is looking for. They're looking for those less urban dense areas. Do you know what the number is on urban density by chance? What they're looking for?
I don't, Ricardo. I don't have that
Okay.
information.
I think I read somewhere it was about 2,200 people per square mile or less. Is kind of it's just something that sticks to mind, but I'm kind of a freak that way with numbers. But one of the things that I want to walk people through, and like I said, it doesn't get enough attention, is drive south on 401 out of Fuquay Varina, and Fuquay Varina straddles two counties. It straddles Wake County, where the prices are much higher. But then go straight through downtown, and it's the cutest little downtown if you've never seen it. Um, and you go into Harnett County where the population density just collapses, and that's where there's a lot of new development going on. And you take 210 for example through Lillington, which is got to be one of the cutest mid-sized towns in the state. You'll pass construction, not just
Mhm.
highway construction either. Residential construction mostly, obviously a lot of business construction as well. And what that tells me, after nearly 20 years of living in this area, is that these markets are filling in.
Yeah.
Buyers, they're settling in between Raleigh and Fayetteville. Remote workers who don't need to be in either city. Military families, for example, who want to commute to Fort Bragg, but they don't want to live in Fayetteville proper. And then there's investors watching land values rise along those corridors. And an interesting note that I wanted to bring up, and you and I kind of offline were talking about that in prep for this video. The corridor is a geography that's 65 to 75 miles in total. There's two routes. There's
Mhm.
Highway 210 and 401 through Fuquay, Lillington, but then there's the I-95 corridor through Benson and Dunn, and then Wake, Johnston, Harnett, and Cumberland counties. And some of those places, like Benson and Dunn, for example, they're equilateral distance from both Raleigh and Fayetteville, meaning you can work in either city or you can patronize either city in about 30 minutes. It's actually pretty easy.
Yeah. No, and this corridor, Ricardo, brings a lot of commerce, a lot of logistics, a lot of businesses flow through the corridor. So plenty of opportunity. But price-wise, Ricardo, what are we talking about in between? Most people think it's binary, right? It's either Raleigh or it's either Fayetteville, but this corridor in between, what are you seeing price-wise?
Wow. Yeah. Well, that's a great question, and I'm glad you asked because I've actually got the receipts right here. So one of the things that I wanted to point out is so the median price, and these are the numbers from 2025, right? These are the end of the year reports from 2025. The median price in Raleigh was 458,000. But remember, I told you Raleigh is located within the county of Wake, and Wake is
Hmm.
home to 16 municipalities. So when we look at the county itself, which is a better gauge because it's the same school district. It's the Wake County Independent School District. The median in Wake County was $476,000. Now that's down slightly year over year, less than 1%, but that's a broad number. So that gives you a really good idea. Of course, you can go into Apex where the average is closer to 800, or Cary the same thing. But this gives you a really good gauge of the overall county. Move over into Johnston County, just one county over, which is very commutable, by the way,
Yeah.
into Raleigh if you had to. And the median in there's 355%. And here's an interesting caveat: 47.7% in Johnston County is new construction. So you can buy a newly constructed home in Johnston County, which is, oftentimes a 30-minute drive to downtown Raleigh or less, for $355,000. That's pretty amazing. Move into Fuquay, Holly Springs. Now, in that area, we have seen a decline, and this is mostly in the Fuquay side of things. It's 488,500. That's almost a half $500,000. But there's a lot of inventory there, and prices are down in Fuquay Varina about 4% year over year. So a lot of values to find in there.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
the southern part of this corridor, that's where the real values come in. In Cumberland County right now, that would be home to Fayetteville. New construction is sitting at 349,000. So you can get a brand new constructed home in Cumberland County for only 349,000, while existing homes, they're $244,000. That's a $106,000 gap. So,
Yeah.
which door you walk through really just depends entirely on your VA entitlement and your timeline, and really where you want to be.
Okay, okay. Well, that's very interesting. I mean, it seems like there's plenty of opportunity for those buyers, especially those that are sitting on the fence. So in between the two markets, are you saying then that the corridor brings an opportunity for them?
Yeah, it really is. And to go back to your question, is it a binary choice? It's really not, especially when Fayetteville is roughly half the price of Raleigh. But the corridor, between the two destinations, for example, Lillington, Benson, Fuquay, and that mid zone, you're looking at three-quarters of Raleigh and Wake County pricing. So same quality of life, but a fraction of the commute pressure. And the MLS data sharing agreement between the Triangle and the Longleaf Pine MLSs that happened 3 years ago, that's really the first step towards full market convergence.
Yeah. So Ricardo, I think, us, we have boots on the ground where we're seeing it. You're driving a ton of miles, throughout the corridor. And this corridor is bringing a huge opportunity for a lot of buyers. So if you're watching us, definitely don't sleep on the corridor. There's going to be a booming market. I mean, there already is a booming market in this corridor. So if you feel that the Raleigh or Durham area is out of your price range, reach out to Ricardo because he can definitely find you something a lot more affordable in the corridor.
So every episode, we're going to bring you real market data, real buyer scenarios, and honest answers. No fluff, no sales pitch.
Yeah, so if you're thinking about buying in the Triangle, Fayetteville, or anywhere along the corridor, we want to hear from you.
Real estate questions? Come to me. Financing and loan questions? Johan's got you covered. One link in the description takes you to both of us. So subscribe,
Drop a question in the comments.
and we'll see you in the next one.